Well, we've said so much about NDLEA. I think this one is stemming from Obasanjo. I think one of our guest favorite presidents, if I must say. Well, not the one presently our guest seated here. Well, we have former President Olusegun Obasanjo denying allegations of claiming that he sought to have wanted a third term. Now, the former President Olusegun Obasanjo has denied allegations, claiming he sought for a third term just before his second term in office as a democratically elected president ended in 2007. Speaking at the Democracy Dialogue organized by Good Luck Jonathan Foundation in Accra, Ghana, Obasanjo said there is no Nigerian living or dead. Please come around the visuals, please, while I read. Thank you. Who can truthfully claim he solicited support for a third term Nigeria? Well, he stated, and I quote, "I am not a fool. If I wanted a third term, I know how to go about it. And there is no Nigerian dead or alive that would say I called him and told him I wanted a third term." That's Obasanjo is quoting. Now, moving on, Obasanjo argued that he had proven his ability to secure different national goals, citing Nigeria's debt relief during his administration as much as a greater challenge than any third term ambition. Well, that is from Obasanjo. Well, I do not even want to bench on if he called someone for a third term or a fourth term. I want to go on his administration. If you were to ask, let me start with you, Matthew. If you were to be asked, what do you think about Obasanjo's administration before his second term ended in 2007 rather? What would you say his administration was like for you? Stating the fact that he said, there was a debt relief fund, there were a lot of things that he did. Do you agree with that?
Actually, I think Obasanjo is someone that had willpower. Willpower in the sense that any action he decides to take, you have what it takes to do it. To be quite honest with you, when it comes to debt relief, his government fought for it and we achieved it.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll continue with that discussion. Let's quickly go for our commercial break, and when we come back, we'll continue listening to Matthew. What does he think about Obasanjo administration when he was in power? We'll be right back after the commercial break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Well, let's continue from where we stopped. You were trying to describe, his administration. Please go ahead.
So it was even under like I was talking about, willpower. I give it to him. It was under his watch we revolutionized our communication when it comes to moving away from our normal night to all this current network we have, NTN and all of that. But if you look at the statement that came from him, whether he sought for third term or not, I want to tell you that issue has been dealt with and judgment already given in the court of public opinion. So it is even irrespective of his own opinion. The perspective out there is that he tried it. I could recall during that period that, of course, there was a bill before National Assembly, though not specifically sponsored by the president, seeking to make a sitting president to contest an election beyond 2 terms. But it was thrown out by the Senate. And as at that time, I could recall that even some senators, some were wearing tag and for third term, some were wearing tag, I'm against third term. Though you cannot specifically tie anyone to the man in question, talking about Obasanjo, because nobody came out to say he instructed them to do X, Y, Z. But the perception out there is that is the situation. So in the court of public opinion, it's different from because nobody is telling anybody to come and again, perception is some people's reality. So maybe an Obasanjo need to do more work to convince Nigerians
that he didn't do that.
Okay,
well, Femi Chacha, what are your thoughts?
While we must give Obasanjo credit for certain things, he needs to take the tongue lash for certain things to do in his administration. Of the opinion that our democracy was in a teething stage and he got away with quite a lot of things. I do not think any president after then can willfully change several Senate presidents like former President Obasanjo did. At will, he changed. I think the only person that is now in full control of the Senate and the House of Representatives since President Obasanjo's time is the incumbent
current
the current president. And obviously, he learned through the ropes. But President Obasanjo came from prison so there was this military fear then because of his background and how he just retired many of the top military men then. It was difficult except for the likes of Gani, late Gani Fahimi, and a few others who were willing to stake their lives, and they actually felt it too. So on that side. Secondly, I'm of the opinion that he actually sought third term by putting late President Yar'Adua, who he knew his state of health, because even during campaign, President Obasanjo did most of the campaign for late President Umaru Yar'Adua. There was a time he wanted to campaign that he had to call him and put it on loudspeaker. Umaru, they said you are dead. Is it true? It got to that level. So I'm of the opinion that even if we don't have proofs that he sought third term, by virtue of trying to put somebody that he could still have control over, Obasanjo wanted the third term. Lastly, I'm also of the opinion that President, I don't know why when people leave office, they all of a sudden have all the solutions.
So the problem
I can give many instances. Now, His Excellency Oshomole has all the solutions, and we know the state of Edo State before he took over, and some of us had high hopes because of his background in labor. But excuse me, Dr. Kayode Fayemi also very learned. Some of us thought the idea, what we're seeing in Kaduna during what's the name of the former president, El Rufai's in terms of reforms and fiscal policy, we thought those are things some of us thought. Dr. Kayode Fayemi, because Ekiti being a civil servant fledged state, we're expecting some of these reforms, but no, we didn't. But all of them all of a sudden have solutions to problems they saw and didn't even provide solution when they're in office. So I'm of the type that Obasanjo also belonged to that class, and he always, except for, you see, he also has said it in several interviews. There is someone Tinubu has a way of putting him in his rightful place, and that rivalry has been there since when Obasanjo was president and Tinubu was actually governor. He went to court, in and out of court, and so I'm of the opinion that all of these posings and solution-oriented advices here and there are only because some of them just want to remain relevant.
Okay.
To add to what he said, you see, our democracy is nascent, is thriving, but you see, and Obasanjo had an opportunity to give it a very good path.
Yeah.
Because there are tenets of democracy. I could recall under Obasanjo when he imposed state of emergency, just as Nigerians try to admonish the current president that your power under section 305 of the constitution do not extend to suspending an elected governor, even as we have the power to invoke state of emergency. Just as Mr. President acknowledged currently that there are so many litigation pending in court even as we speak regarding that action. And Obasanjo did a similar thing in the past and suspended an elected governor. And we equally saw the suspension of Ekiti State governor in the past under Obasanjo under some questionable circumstances. Even the impeachment of the then Bayelsa governor under some questionable circumstances, because in some cases you find a situation where the House of Assembly would not form quorum, and because he wanted it, his word is like an injunction. Nobody could stop it. So you see, because currently we even saw even the current vice president of the country saying that even when the Jonathan wanted to impose state of emergency in his state as the then governor of Borno State, that Jonathan was advised that under section 305 that he do not have power to remove or rather suspend a sitting governor. And for that reason, there was a state of emergency in his state, but he was equally there as a governor. So if you look at all these things, you understand that this mentality where we derive this democracy, we are not following it to the letter. And if we wanted to follow it to the letter, I want to tell you that we would have advanced beyond this. Let me even remind you of something. Recently, I will not mention the name, perhaps you understand from my own analysis. A former governor was admonishing, not just admonishing, was giving orders to House of Assembly members in a particular state, draw his ear warning that you must do everything that comes from the incumbent governor. Whether you know it or you don't know, you don't ask questions, you must do it. And they were saying, yes, sir. And we all know that the House of Assembly was supposed to be a check on the executive.
Of course.
They were supposed to oversight the executive. So especially where they are already taking orders from a former governor, how can they now function effectively?
Well, I totally agree. Anyways, we will not be able to take any topic because our time is already fast spent. But let me read one more message from our viewers. Okay, this one is from Shomolu. Says the third time bid cannot be proven legitimately or legally. So it's not an issue anyone should substantiate. It is all just politics. Well, let me just ask the question to Femi Chacha because he's a politician. Just to wrap up very quickly, just respond to that. Do you actually think, because are they trying to say that Obasanjo is playing politics by responding to the allegations coming out now? Or why is he addressing it now? Is this the issue to talk about now? Or is he trying to say he's still involved or he's still interested in politics? What do you think?
I think he's trying to define how he wants to be remembered. He's trying to define how he wants to be remembered. He does not want certain rumors to now be very loud after his demise. He's tidying his integrity, his perception, so that when anything probably happens later, nobody will, end up saying, "Oh, he attempted." He just wants to correct quite a lot of perception about him. But all the same, I think it's also a final kick from most of the dying horses, stakeholders in Nigerian politics, who now feel threatened by the undemocratic strong holding of the incumbent. He has a very strong hold. The last time we've seen something like this was during President Obasanjo. He has a very firm hold on that. A lot of people are, Erufai was saying during the weekend that if we're not careful, he's going to seek a third time. So a lot of them are very, very scared. They are very, very scared. So they're just putting up all of these tantrums.
All right, anyway, thank you. Well, that's the opinion. I'm sure a lot of people are